The alien queen. My daughter's children look so much like you, human. My heart almost stopped. The trade station Charon's Reach never truly slept. Even during its quiet cycles, lights stayed on, engines hummed, and beings from 100 worlds moved through its wide halls. Elias Ward walked through one of those halls with a small cargo case in his right hand and tired thoughts in his head. He had been here many times before. Charon's Reach was neutral ground. No wars were fought here. No flags were flown. Credits mattered more than loyalty, and silence mattered more than pride. Elias liked it that way. He was a trader now, not a medic, not a relief worker, and definitely not a hero. At least, that was what he told himself. He stopped near a vendor stall and checked his wrist display. The transaction he had come for was finished. He could return to his ship, file the logs, and leave the station within the hour. Simple, quiet, exactly how he liked his life. That was when the message arrived. It did not come through public channels. It bypassed his trader ID and went straight to a secure emergency frequency that he had not used in years. Elias froze. No one should have had access to that channel. The message contained only one line. Elias Ward. You are requested in Council Chamber 3. This is not optional. His stomach tightened. Council chambers were not for people like him. They were for rulers, military leaders, and beings who shaped star systems with their decisions. Elias was just a man with a small ship and a long list of places he had left behind. He considered ignoring it. He considered running. But the message carried a clearance seal he recognized. Old, very old. With a sigh, Elias closed the cargo case and turned away from the vendor stalls. He followed the station signs toward the upper levels, where traffic grew thinner and the air felt colder. The lift doors closed around him, and the hum of movement filled the space. Elias leaned against the wall and rubbed his face. What did I do now? He muttered. The lift stopped. Council Chamber 3 stood at the end of a long, quiet corridor. 2 guards waited outside the doors. They were not human. Tall, silver-skinned, with dark eyes and calm expressions. Vethrin. Elias slowed his steps. The Vethrin conquered was one of the oldest powers in the region. They were known for strict law, careful diplomacy, and little patience for human unpredictability. Humans and Vethrin had fought a short conflict years ago. It had ended without victory for either side and without friendship. The guards looked at Elias as he approached. Elias Ward, one said. It was not a question. That's me, Elias replied. The council awaits, the guard said, stepping aside. The doors opened silently. The chamber beyond was vast. Curved walls rose high overhead, carved with symbols Elias did not recognize. Soft blue light filled the space, reflecting off polished floors. At the far end stood a raised platform where several figures waited, council members. Elias walked forward slowly, aware of every step. He counted them as he approached. 9 figures, all Vethrin, seated in a half-circle. And standing at the center, slightly apart from the others, was someone Elias did not expect. She was taller than the rest, her presence commanding without effort. Her armor was ceremonial but unmistakably functional. Symbols of rank marked her shoulders and chest. Her expression was calm, but her eyes were fixed on Elias with intense focus. He had never seen her before, yet something about her made his chest feel tight. Elias Ward, the central figure said. Her voice carried easily across the chamber. You stand before the Vethrin High Council. I don't know why, Elias replied honestly, but I'm here. That earned a few quiet murmurs. The elder seated at the far left spoke. You were summoned because your name was spoken by the High Matron. Elias blinked. I'm sorry, the what? The woman stepped forward. I am High Matron Celira, she said, leader of the Vethrin Conquered. The words hit Elias like a physical blow. Leader, his mind raced. He replayed every trade deal, every border crossing, every questionable choice he had made in the last decade. Nothing seemed worthy of a summons from one of the most powerful beings in the region. I think there's been a mistake, Elias said carefully. Celira studied him for a long moment. Then she asked, Do you remember me, human? The question echoed through the chamber. Elias frowned. He searched her face, her posture, her voice. Nothing sparked recognition. I'm sorry, he said slowly. I don't. Something shifted in her expression. Not anger, relief. Several council members reacted, their attention sharpening. Celira nodded once. As I believed. She took another step closer. Elias could feel the weight of her presence now, like standing near a powerful engine. Many years ago, she said, during a border conflict between our species, a human relief unit entered a restricted zone. Elias felt a memory stir. The unit was not authorized, Celira continued. They were warned to turn back. Elias swallowed. One human did not. The chamber was silent. Celira's eyes never left his. That human found a wounded veteran child among the ruins, she said. The child was bleeding, broken, abandoned. Elias' heart began to pound. The human had orders to assist only his own kind, Celira said. To leave enemy wounded behind. Elias' mouth felt dry. He ignored those orders, Celira said. He stopped, he treated the child, he carried her to safety. A memory surged forward, sharp and sudden. Smoke, rubble, pain in his leg. A sound that had not been words, but something close. Elias closed his eyes briefly. I remember, he said. The council leaned forward. Celira's voice softened. Do you remember her? Elias opened his eyes and looked at her again, the shape of her face, the curve of her eyes. The way she held herself. Realization hit him slowly, painfully. You, he whispered. Celira inclined her head. I was that child. The chamber erupted in quiet shock. Elias stared at her, disbelief mixing with something like fear. You survived, he said. Yes, Celira replied. Because of you. Elias ran a hand through his hair. I didn't know who you were. I didn't know you'd become anything, Celira finished. I know. She turned to the council. This human saved my life when it would have been safer for him to walk away, she said. He asked nothing, he expected nothing. She faced Elias again. I searched for you for many years, she said, not to repay you, but to understand you. Elias let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. I was just doing my job, he said quietly. No, Celira said, you were doing more. One of the elders spoke sharply. High Matron, even if this is true, it changes nothing about human unpredictability. Celira turned toward him. It changes everything. Elias shifted uncomfortably. If I may, he said, all eyes turned to him. I didn't save her because she was veteran, he said, or because she'd be important one day. I saved her because she was hurt. Silence followed. Celira studied him with something close to wonder. That, she said, is the heart of the matter. Elias felt the weight of the chamber pressing down on him. He had come to sell cargo. Instead, the past had found him. And it was not done yet. Elias Ward stood in the quiet chamber long after the alien noblewoman finished her first question. The room was built for beings much larger than him, with tall, curved walls and soft blue light that seemed to move like water. Around him, alien officials watched in silence. None of them spoke. None of them moved. All eyes were on the human. The noblewoman studied Elias closely. Her people were tall and silver-skinned, with calm faces and dark eyes that missed nothing. She was dressed in ceremonial armor, light but powerful, marked with symbols of rank and command. To the galaxy, she was known as High Matron Celira of the Veteran Conquered. To Elias, at that moment, she was simply a stranger asking him about a memory he did not have. I'm sorry, Elias said carefully. I've helped a lot of people over the years. I don't remember your face. A quiet sound moved through the chamber. It was not anger, it was relief. That is as I expected, Celira replied. Her voice was steady but softer now. You did not save me so that I would remember you. You saved me so that I would live. She raised one long hand, and the lights in the chamber shifted. An image appeared in the air between them, formed of pale blue light. Elias leaned forward without meaning to. The image showed a ruined landscape, burned black and broken by weapons' fire. Smoke filled the air. The ground was covered in twisted metal and shattered stone. Elias felt his chest tighten. I know this place, he said quietly. Yes, Celira answered. You would. The image moved, smaller now, more focused. A battlefield on the edge of known space during a short and violent conflict between humans and the Veteran many years ago. A conflict most of the galaxy had already forgotten. Most of the galaxy had wanted it forgotten. The image showed a human in damaged relief armor moving slowly through the ruins. His helmet was cracked. One arm hung useless at his side. He carried a medical pack on his back, marked with the human symbol for aid. That's me, Elias said. His voice sounded distant to his own ears. At the time, he had been younger, thinner, tired in a way he had not understood yet. He had not been a traitor then. He had been part of a small human relief unit that followed battles, helping survivors when fighting stopped. The humans had been warned not to cross into Veteran zones. They had been told the Veteran would kill any human they found. Elias in the image did not stop walking. The image shifted again. A small shape lay among the rubble, barely moving. Vethrin, young. Bleeding from several wounds, one of her legs bent at an angle that made Elias swallow hard. "I remember this," Elias whispered. He had almost walked past her. At the time, he had been exhausted. The battlefield was supposed to be empty. His scanner had shown no friendly life signs. The command order had been clear: retrieve human wounded only. Do not engage, do not assist enemy forces. But then he had heard a sound, not words, not a call for help, just pain. "I didn't know who you were," Elias said. "I didn't know your people, I just knew someone was dying." Celira nodded once. "In our culture," she said, "abandoning a wounded enemy is not considered cruel, it is considered practical. You were raised differently." The image showed Elias kneeling beside the wounded Vethrin child. His movements were slow, careful. He checked her breathing, her pulse. His medical scanner flashed warning symbols across its surface. "She was not supposed to live," one of the alien council members said quietly from the edge of the chamber. "Her injuries were fatal by our standards." "I know," Elias replied. "My scanner told me the same." The image showed Elias opening his medical pack, human supplies. Human medicine, not designed for alien biology, not guaranteed to work. "But you tried anyway," Celira said. Elias remembered the fear. If he was caught, he could be executed. If his command found out, he could be discharged, imprisoned, or worse. Humans were already viewed with suspicion. Helping an enemy child would not earn mercy, but leaving her there had felt impossible. "I stabilized what I could," Elias said. "Stopped the bleeding, gave fluids. I didn't know if it would help." The image showed him lifting the child into his arms. She was small then, light, her breathing shallow but steady. "You carried me for nearly 2 kilometers," Celira said, "through active ruins with your weapon empty." Elias looked up sharply. "You remember that part?" "Yes," she answered. "I was conscious, afraid, and confused." The image showed Elias placing the child inside a human emergency shelter. He activated its auto-seal and oxygen systems. The shelter glowed faintly as it locked itself. "I left you there," Elias said slowly. "I hoped your people would find you." "They did," Celira said. "Because of you." The image faded and the chamber lights returned to normal. For a long moment, no one spoke. Elias rubbed his hands together, suddenly aware they were shaking. "I didn't think about it again," he admitted. "After the war ended, I assumed you lived or you didn't. There was no report, no follow-up." Celira stepped forward. The sound of her boots echoed softly against the floor. "I lived," she said. "I healed. And when I was old enough, I was told the truth." She looked at the council members around them. "I was told that a human saved me, a human who broke his own orders, a human who saw an enemy child and chose mercy." Some of the council shifted uncomfortably. "For many years," Celira continued, "I searched for you, not to reward you, not to bind you, but to understand." "To understand what?" Elias asked. "How a species born on a death world," she said, "could choose kindness when fear would have been easier." Elias let out a slow breath. "We're not special," he said. "Most humans would have done the same." Several alien heads turned toward him sharply. "That," Celira replied, "is what terrifies the galaxy." She gestured, and another image appeared. This one showed Celira as she was now, standing at the head of fleets, speaking before worlds, commanding respect and fear. "Because you saved me," she said. "I lived to change the path of my people. I argued for restraint, for diplomacy, for peace with humans." Murmurs filled the chamber. "Many opposed me," Celira said calmly. "Some still do." Elias finally understood why this meeting felt dangerous. "This isn't just about me," he said. "No," Celira agreed. "It never was." She lowered her head slightly, a gesture of respect among her kind. "In saving one broken child," she said, "you altered the course of a civilization." The silence that followed was heavy. Elias felt smaller than he ever had before. "I didn't mean to," he said quietly. Celira's eyes softened. "That," she replied, "is exactly why it mattered." Around them, the galaxy listened. The chamber did not return to normal after Celira's words. The silence felt heavier now, like gravity had increased. Elias could sense it in the way the alien officials avoided looking directly at him. To them, he was no longer just a human traitor. He was a variable, an unknown factor with consequences they did not like. One of the council elders finally spoke. He was old even by Vethrin standards, his silver skin marked with deep lines that showed centuries of power and survival. "High Matron," the elder said slowly. Your story is noted, but personal history cannot be allowed to influence galactic order. Celira turned her head slightly toward him. She did not raise her voice. She did not need to. This is not personal, she said. This is cultural law. The elder's eyes narrowed. Human law means nothing here. Elias shifted where he stood. He had spent years dealing with smugglers, traders, and border officials, but this was different. This was not about money or permits. This was about identity. Celira raised her hand again, and the chamber doors sealed with a soft hiss. Several council members reacted instantly, standing or calling out in alarm. No harm will come to anyone, Celira said calmly, but this matter will be heard fully. Elias felt his heart beat faster. He did not like sealed rooms. In Vethran culture, Celira continued, a life freely given creates a bond. A life saved creates a debt, not a favor, not gratitude, a debt that defines honor. The council elder leaned back. And you claim this human, this traitor, holds such a debt over you. Celira turned fully toward Elias and did something that made the entire chamber freeze. She knelt. The sound of metal touching the floor echoed like thunder. Gasps rippled through the chamber. Some officials rose to their feet in shock. Others stared in disbelief. A few looked afraid. Elias' mind went blank. Please, he said urgently, stepping forward. You don't need to do that. Celira remained where she was, head bowed. High Matron, one council member shouted. This is unacceptable. This is tradition, Celira replied. And I will not deny it. She looked up at Elias from her kneeling position. By the laws of my people, she said, your life is under my protection. Your enemies are my enemies. Your harm would be a violation of our deepest code. Elias felt every eye in the room on him. I never asked for this, he said quietly. I know, Celira answered. That is why it is binding. The council erupted into argument. Voices overlapped sharp and fast, spoken in multiple alien languages. Translation systems struggled to keep up. This cannot stand. A human cannot hold such status. It would shift the balance. Elias stood there, heart pounding, wondering how saving one wounded child had led him here. Finally, the elder raised his hand, and silence slowly returned. If this is true, the elder said, then the human must be examined, tested. We must determine his intent. Celira rose smoothly to her feet. You will not interrogate him. Then how do we know he is worthy? The elder demanded. Elias took a breath before he could stop himself. You don't, he said, every head turned toward him. You don't know if I'm worthy, Elias continued. You don't know if I'm brave or weak or smart or stupid. You don't know because you're asking the wrong question. The elder's eyes fixed on him. Explain. Elias looked around the chamber, at the powerful beings who ruled systems, at the soldiers who could destroy worlds, at Celira whose life he had once held without knowing her name. You keep asking why I helped, he said, like it needs a reason. He spread his hands slightly. There wasn't one, no plan, no belief system, no reward. Someone was hurt. I had the ability to help, so I did. Some of the council members scoffed. That is illogical, one said. Maybe, Elias replied, but it's human. Celira watched him closely now. Elias continued, his voice steady despite the fear twisting inside him. Humans come from a dangerous world. Everything there wants to kill us, whether disease, animals, even each other sometimes. So we learned early that survival isn't just about strength. It's about cooperation. He paused. If we only helped our own kind, we wouldn't have made it off our planet. The chamber was silent again, but this time it was a listening silence. The elder studied Elias for a long moment. And you expect the galaxy to accept this as justification? I don't expect anything, Elias said. I didn't then, I don't now. That answer seemed to unsettle them more than any speech. Celira stepped forward and placed herself beside Elias, not towering over him, but standing with him. This, she said, is why humans frighten us. They do not act for dominance. They act for choice. A younger council member spoke up, her voice uncertain. If what you say is true, then humans cannot be controlled by fear or reward. Celira nodded. Exactly, the elder exhaled slowly. And that makes them dangerous. Or trustworthy, Elias said quietly. The word hung in the air. The council retreated into private discussion, forming a tight circle and speaking in hushed tones. Elias stood still, feeling suddenly very tired. You okay? Celira asked softly. I saved a kid once, Elias replied. Now I might start a war, she almost smiled. You already prevented one, she said. Minutes passed, then longer. Finally, the elder turned back toward them. The Council recognizes the validity of the life debt, he said, each word heavy with reluctance. However, such recognition comes with consequences. Elias braced himself. The human Elias ward will be placed under temporary galactic protection, the elder continued. Any harm to him will be considered an act against the Vethrin conquered. Murmurs spread again. In return, the elder said, he will remain available as a witness to human cultural conduct. Elias blinked. A witness? You will represent your species, the elder said, whether you wish to or not. Celira looked at Elias. I will ensure no harm comes to you. Elias nodded slowly. I believe you. The council dismissed the session, but the tension did not leave with them. As guards escorted Elias through the long halls of the station, he could feel eyes following him. Word was spreading. A human had saved a future ruler. A human now stood under alien protection, and humans across the galaxy were about to be seen differently. Elias did not know it yet, but the galaxy had already crossed a line it could not uncross. All because one human had chosen not to walk away. The station did not feel the same after the council session ended. The halls were brighter than before, but Elias felt as if shadows followed him wherever he went. Every step echoed too loudly. Every door seemed to close a little slower than it should have. 2 Vethrin guards walked behind him, not as prisoners' escorts, but as protection. That fact did not make Elias feel safer. People stared. Some aliens looked at him with open curiosity, others with suspicion. A few with something close to fear. News moved fast on a station this large, and faster when it involved a human standing under the protection of one of the most powerful figures in the Conquered. Celira walked beside him, her presence calm and steady. Her posture told everyone watching that Elias was not alone. You do not like attention, she observed. I prefer quiet, Elias replied. Attention usually means trouble. In that, Celira said, our species are alike. They turned down a long corridor that led away from public areas. The guards stopped at a sealed door and stepped aside. Celira placed her hand on the panel and it opened smoothly. Inside was a private chamber. Simple, clean, a place meant for discussion, not ceremony. Celira entered first. Elias followed. The door closed behind them. For the first time since this began, Elias let out a long breath. I think, he said, this is the part where someone tells me my life is about to get very complicated. Celira faced him. Your life already is. She gestured for him to sit. He did. There are those on the council who will not accept today's decision, she said. They will not challenge me openly, but they will look for other paths. Other paths to what? Elias asked. To remove you, Celira replied simply. Elias nodded. He had expected that. I don't want anyone hurt because of me, he said. That may not be a choice you are allowed to make, she answered gently. Elias leaned forward, elbows on his knees. I never wanted power, he said. I never wanted influence. I just wanted to help people and live my life. Celira studied him carefully. And yet, she said, power has found you. She activated a display on the wall. Information flowed across it, fleet movements, political signals, intercepted communications. These are not public, she said, but you must understand the danger. Elias scanned the data. He did not recognize most of it, but the tone was clear. They're scared, he said. Yes, Celira replied, and fear makes people reckless. As if summoned by her words, an alarm sounded softly in the chamber. Celira's head snapped up. Report, she said. A voice answered through the room system. Unauthorized movement detected near Dock Ring 7. Security teams responding. Elias felt a chill. That's where my ship is, he said. Celira's expression hardened. They are moving faster than expected, she said. She turned to him. You must leave the station. Elias stood. I thought I was under protection. You are, Celira said. Which is why this cannot be allowed to become public violence. If harm comes to you here, the Conquered fractures. She moved quickly, activating controls. I will escort you myself. They exited the chamber at speed. The guards fell in behind them. The station corridors were no longer calm. Doors closed. Security drones passed overhead. Voices echoed in the distance. As they approached Dock Ring 7, the smell of burned metal reached Elias' nose. Smoke. Celira stopped. Stay behind me, she ordered. They turned the corner and saw chaos. One of the docking bays had been breached. A cargo ship burned quietly, its hull torn open. Several figures lay on the ground, alive but stunned. Vethrin security forces were forming a perimeter. and near Elia's ship stood 3 armored figures wearing unmarked gear. Assassins. Before anyone could react, one of them raised a weapon. Elias did not think. He moved. He stepped forward, hands raised. "Stop!" he shouted. The assassin hesitated, surprised by the human's sudden appearance. That moment was enough. Celira moved like lightning. Her armor flared with energy as she struck, disarming one attacker and throwing another into the deck with controlled force. Security forces surged forward and restrained the rest. The threat ended as quickly as it began. Elias stood frozen, heart racing. Celira turned to him. "Are you injured?" "No," Elias said, "but I could have been." She studied him closely. "You stepped between a weapon and yourself," she said. "Why?" Elias shrugged weakly. "They looked nervous." Celira let out a slow breath. "That," she said, "is exactly why this is happening." The attackers were taken away. The dock was sealed. Damaged crews moved in. Celira escorted Elias aboard his ship. It was a modest vessel, worn but well-maintained. "This ship has carried aid supplies," Celira said. "Medical equipment, food." Elias nodded. "It's seen better days." "It has seen purpose," she corrected. She stood at the entrance ramp. "You will leave now," she said. "You will go where I direct, for your safety." "And after that?" Elias asked. Celira met his eyes. "After that," she said, "you will decide." The ramp closed. The ship lifted off smoothly. As the station fell away, Elias looked out into space. He had never felt smaller and never more important. Days passed. Elias stayed aboard his ship, moving between systems under conquered protection. Wherever he went, whispers followed. Humans began to hear the story, a human who saved an alien child. A human protected by an alien leader. A human who refused power but gained it anyway. On a distant human colony, a young medic heard the story and chose to volunteer for off-world aid. On a trade route near the rim, a human captain decided to stop and help a stranded alien vessel. Small choices, quiet echoes. Celira contacted Elias regularly. "The council is divided," she told him during one transmission. "Some want to use you as proof that humans can be allies. Others want you gone before you inspire more." "I don't want to inspire anything," Elias replied. She smiled slightly. "You already have." Eventually, the council called for another session. This time it was open. Broadcast across the Concord. Elias stood once more in the great chamber. This time he was not alone. Human representatives stood behind him, not soldiers, not politicians, medics, engineers, relief workers, people like him. The elder spoke again. "Elias Ward," he said. "Your existence has created instability." Elias nodded. "I believe you." "And yet," the elder continued, "it has also created cooperation." Celira stepped forward. "The question before us," she said, "is simple. Do we punish kindness because it is unpredictable? Or do we learn from it?" The chamber watched Elias. He felt every eye. He spoke. "I don't represent humanity," he said. "I can't. We're too different, too messy." He paused. "But I can tell you this. If you hurt people who try to help, fewer will try." Silence. The elder closed his eyes briefly. "The council will not move against you," he said at last, "nor against those who follow your example." A ripple spread through the chamber. Celira inclined her head. Elias felt something loosen in his chest. The galaxy had not chosen peace. But it had chosen pause, and sometimes that was enough. Elias left the chamber knowing one truth. The hardest part was still ahead, not surviving, but continuing to choose kindness even now that the universe was watching. The galaxy did not change all at once. It never did. It shifted slowly, like a great tide pulled by many small moons. Elias Ward felt that change not as power, but as weight. After the council session, he did not become famous in the way people imagined. There were no statues, no grand titles. What he became was something far more uncomfortable. An example. His ship drifted near a quiet system at the edge of conquered space. The stars there were dim and old, their light steady and calm. Elias liked places like this. They reminded him of how small everything truly was. A message arrived on his console. Not encrypted, not official, just a simple request. A transport carrying mixed-species civilians had suffered engine failure. Supplies were low, panic was rising, local authorities were arguing about responsibility. Elias sighed softly. "Of course," he muttered. He altered course without hesitation. When his ship arrived, he found fear waiting for him. Aliens of different shapes and sizes crowded together in the damaged transport. Some flinched when they saw him. Others stared with open hope. A veteran officer approached him cautiously. We were told a human might come, the officer said. We were not sure. Elias smiled faintly. Neither was I. He got to work. He did not make speeches. He did not invoke his protection or his name. He repaired systems, shared food, calmed frightened passengers. He listened. That, more than anything, surprised them. By the time help arrived, the transport was stable. As Elias prepared to leave, a small alien child stepped forward. Not Vethrin, another species entirely. She held out a simple token made of twisted wire. For remembering us, she said. Elias accepted it carefully. I didn't, he said. I just came. The story spread anyway, not because it was dramatic, but because it was ordinary. Across the galaxy, people watched what happened next. They expected Elias to settle into safety, to use his protection to live quietly. Some expected him to disappear. He did neither. He kept moving. Celira observed all of this from afar. From council chambers and command decks, from diplomatic halls and war rooms, reports reached her daily. Human aid ships arriving where others would not. Human medics treating alien wounded without being asked. Human crews accepting danger without complaint. Some of it was planned, most of it was not. They are following him, one advisor said. Celira shook her head slowly. No, they are recognizing themselves. The opposition did not vanish. Fear rarely did. One faction within the Conquered prepared a final attempt, not against Elias directly, but against the idea he represented. They proposed new restrictions, new laws, new controls on human movement and influence. The council chamber filled once more. This time Elias was not summoned. He was invited. He stood at the center of the chamber again, but it felt different. The fear was still there, but it was balanced now by something else. Respect. The elder addressed the council. We have observed the effects of your actions, human, he said. They are widespread. Elias nodded. I figured. Some call it destabilizing, the elder continued. Others call it hopeful. And you? Elias asked. The elder paused. I call it inconvenient, he said honestly. Because it forces us to question ourselves. That admission caused murmurs. Celira stepped forward. This council fears losing control, she said. But control was never the same as stability. The elder looked at her. And you believe humans bring stability. I believe, Celira said, that they bring responsibility without command. That is rare. She turned to Elias. You saved my life without knowing who I was, without knowing what I would become. That choice shaped me. She faced the council again. Now the galaxy stands at a similar moment. Elias felt the weight of it settle fully on his shoulders. He raised his voice, steady and calm. I'm not asking you to trust humans, he said. Trust is earned, slowly. He looked around the chamber. I'm asking you not to punish choice, because if you do, you won't get obedience, you'll get silence. Silence fell anyway. The elder closed his eyes for a long moment. Then he spoke. The Conquered will not impose restrictions based solely on human origin, he said. Nor will we suppress cooperative action initiated by individuals. A ripple moved through the chamber. This is not alliance, the elder added. It is tolerance. Celira inclined her head. That is how peace begins. The decision did not make everyone happy. It was not meant to. Elias left the chamber feeling something strange, relief. Not because the danger was gone, but because the path was clear. Time passed. Years this time, Elias grew older, slower. His ship showed its age. New humans joined relief fleets. Some knew his name. Most did not. That was how he liked it. One day, in a quiet system far from the Conquered core, Elias received a familiar signal. Celira's ship arrived without escort. She stepped aboard his vessel, no armor this time, just simple robes. You look tired, she observed. So do you, Elias replied with a smile. They sat together in the small galley. The galaxy has not fallen apart, Elias said. I'm disappointed. Celira allowed herself a soft laugh. It has changed, she said. That is enough. She studied him carefully. You never claimed your life debt, she said. I did, Elias replied. She raised a brow. I asked you to keep choosing better paths, he said. For your people, that was the debt. Celira bowed her head slowly. It has been honored. They sat in silence for a while. Before she left, Celira placed a small data crystal on the table. What's this? Elias asked. A record, she said, of the child you saved and of the choices that followed. Elias nodded. Keep it. It belongs to you, she said. It belongs to the future, Elias replied. Celira left without argument. Years later, long after Elias Ward's ship stopped flying, the story was still told. Not as a legend of power, but as a reminder. That once, on a broken battlefield, a human chose not to walk away, and the galaxy was never quite the same again.